Anything you want to say, babes?
I just want to say thank you very much to everyone that's out there fighting for me. Seeing this come together, and the support has been amazing. I've got a table full of rock stars here that are all working tirelessly around the clock fighting for this cause with me. And I just want all you guys out there across the world to know that I'm going to justify your effort, and I'm going to come back stronger and bigger and badder. And once I get back on my feet, we're going to justify all this. Make sure that all you guys' efforts don't go unnoticed. We're going to come together and have a huge party.
Oh, Suki now. Hell yeah, I know my dogs are watching, and if you ain't, I know you will be. And if you are watching and you ain't my dog yet, I know you will be, because I'm sweet and I'm dedicated to helping you get busy living. What's that? For me, that's one epic adventure every single month for 55 months in a row. But for you, I'm here to try to help y'all live a purposeful, deliberate, intentional life. And we got an extra special guest for y'all today. I'm certain this person is going to give you perspective on things that you or someone you love will confront you before you meet your maker. I promise you. But first, we're going to talk about some things that we're all subject to in our daily lives. You know, not just our somebody we know or through a degree of separation, but we all are subject to these things, but we haven't thought about them much, and we take them for granted. And now they are surfacing in ways that can keep you from getting busy living. For example, you know, we all use our GPS every single day, but have you ever not remembered to charge your phone and then had your phone die in the middle when you're on your way somewhere and you had no clue where you're going? Like, we take a lot of things for granted, y'all. And most times we find that our keys were exactly where we left them. Life really is that simple. I've said it many times. It's only complicated if you complicate it. Yet we do, day after day. And then we find ourselves way further down the track in life and haven't gotten nearly as far as we thought we were going to be, realizing we've been busy and we've been alive, but we can't seem to figure out what's holding us down or keeping us back. Luckily for us, there are answers. And although she may not be the answers and she might not have the answers, she sure makes trying to find them fun. And together, she and I, once a month, every third Thursday for the next 36 months, she and I are going to help you, and we're going to help us and help each other pay better attention, stop taking life for granted, admit we are clueless when we are, and figure out where we're going. Because the fact is, the keys are right where we left them. We just got to stop complicating things, get back on track, start seeing all the dreams that we've ever had come true by being more purposeful, being more deliberate, being more intentional, and no longer just being alive, but getting busy living. Yes. But first, since nothing is worth having if it ain't worth sharing, please help me welcome to the stage, out of Los Angeles, the dynamic D-Rex.
Wow, hello, and thank you for that fanfare. I never get tired of it. Hello to the people who are here already. I never get tired of seeing you. It's the weirdest thing. We've been seeing each other since we were 14. We don't get tired of it.
Damn.
So I just want to say, look at all these people that are here already. If you're here, say hello in the comments, because we want to say hi to you and see who's here, because we can't see who's here unless you say hi. What were you going to say before I rudely interrupted you?
I love it when you rudely interrupt me. I thank you so much for being here, D-Rex. Seriously, I don't take this for granted. I do not. And for anyone that's out there watching, this girl right here, right here, that's my homie right there. We did have a 20-year gap in our hominess, but it was worth the wait. Thank God for Facebook, man, for real. Don't you think?
Yeah. You know what? That's actually something that, and before we even get into our topic, we're talking about some things that we take for granted. I mean, how much do we take for granted the access we have to all the friends we've ever met? How wonderful is that? How wonderful is it that we were able to reconnect after so many years of not hanging out? And here we are on a podcast talking about stuff we care about. And a lot of our friends have joined us tonight. So how wonderful is all of this?
What's up, Mr. Young Beck? I love that, man. It's one of my favorite names, man. He and I were talking recently about when we first met. He said he came up to La Batana and he was looking for the owner. And I walked out and he was like, I was young and I was wearing a t-shirt that he apparently thought was somewhat tight. And he was like, no, really, who's the guy in charge? And I was like, I'm the guy in charge. He's like, all right then. And he was working for 38 TV. Shout out to Paul Vizard too from 38 TV. I don't know if when's the last time you tuned in, Paul, but we'd love to see you. Love to have you. What's up? Smiles is in the house. He said, let me play that drum set in the background. Now Smiles is a drummer. You know, all my friends, not all my friends, but a lot of my friends are musicians. And Smiles can rank, he can roll it. Oh, speaking of musicians, Curtis Industry in house. France. What's up, France? Oh, my Swedish teacher, ladies and gentlemen. My Swedish teacher.
How are you doing with your Swedish learning?
I could be better, but I ain't getting worse.
Oh, well, that's something.
Check this out. Guess who that might be?
Blair.
Who says things like Speedster?
Well, he signed it.
Oh, I only read three words, and I knew it was him. Hi, DR, and Sweetster. Yeah, that's definitely Blair. Yeah. What's up, dog? Hey, good to have you guys in the house. Seriously, D-Rex, if it's not about having people in the house in the comments, what's it about? You know?
Yeah, you know what? That is true. It's just us speaking to the wind otherwise. And not only that, not just people in the house, but good friends who have lots to say. So that's another thing is, as we're talking tonight, we really want you to chime in the comment box because we're going to bring that into the conversation. And what we're talking about tonight is so relatable. Every single one of you is probably going to have something to say about it.
Yeah. And, you know, if not for the audience, then the things that we always tell each other to save, we would just say.
Right. You know, right before this podcast happens, we're talking. And there's so many interesting things to talk about. And I can feel that I want to talk about it further, but I also feel like, well, we should probably just wait 10 minutes and save this for the podcast. So yeah, we still have a lot of things to catch up on today about what's going to be happening in the coming month and what's already happened and what's happening right now. And all
right now, what's happening is we're about to bring our guest on. We're going to do the guest thing because she's awesome. And what our topic is relatable to what she actually does. She has a unique position in the field. And so we're loving that. But the way that I met her is an even more magical story. So we're going to get into that. So stick around for that. But before we bring Kika on, we just want to bring up the fact that, you know, the Help Swede Walk Again organization saved my life. That's why I'm here. You guys saw the intro. That's why I'm here. This podcast is my way of keeping in touch with the audience, of letting the people that helped me get here. This is like me talking to you. This is me saying, thank you for the second lease on life. Thank you for the second lease on life. I was dead and helpless. And Micah breathed life into me. And then her friends came, and then my friends came, and then more friends came, and then family came. And then you guys chipped in, kept me around, and have completely lifted me up to this place. So it's for you. That's 100. And the goal is to make an impact the way that you guys have impacted my life. And so I've done a bunch of research, and I've found that stem cells have the potential to impact mankind the way that mankind impacted me, to like fire once did. And we're going to be talking about, you know, human history today, because a lot of things that we do today that are rooted in history, we don't acknowledge that, and then we're insane because of it. And if we just realize why we acted that way, then maybe it would help us change it. So we're going to get to that. But the stem cells, and the point is that I believe that they have the power to change lives. And so we have nominees at the HSWA. If you know somebody whose life could be changed by stem cells, we had somebody respond to that request. And our man Schaefer is our very first nominee. So we're going to make sure that all of the proceeds of everything that we do are dedicated to trying to get this man to Panama. So please understand there's a way for you to help. Okay. The way for you to help is to go to the hswa.org and click on that Help Schaefer link. And I want to give you some video so that you can understand what this man's about. So check this dude out.
Up, and then back down.
That's it. Quit, man.
Before you try to do anything
There's
else.
no quitting this dude.
You're leaning on me. You're not ready yet. You're not ready yet because you're not balanced. You ready? Yeah. Okay. Green light.
He doesn't always, you know, make it. Sometimes there's not. Think about how many times you have to fail. All of us. How many times we've had to fail in life before we ever succeeded. You know, like
Good
it's not
one.
always perfect, but it just keeps going, man.
You gotta keep going.
You know, and sometimes he has tone in his legs that make it hard for him to stop, and that's why, you know, he pauses and then leans forward because his feet, the way Lori is describing it to me, push his toes, and his toes make him lean forward, and then he keeps going.
Red light. Ooh, oh, that was pretty good.
See that what that lunge is about there? Check him out though. But he just keeps trying. Like last time on this.
Like lean over that front foot and step up. Oh. Come on, lean over the front foot. Here, hold on, let's do this. Okay. Lean over your front foot and push. You gotta use the muscles in your legs, Shane. That's what it's all about. Push. Good.
Man,
This is what it's all about, guys.
Take for granted. We take this for granted all the time. A
100.
step, walking across the room. And I mean, and imagine for 1 second that this is your little brother, you know, and how much you would want to help your little brother as much as you could get to baseline where he could take it for granted. And that's why it's so important for us to try to get him these stem cells so that he can have the best chance at taking walking for granted possible. He's a great kid. There's no more worthy recipient of this gift.
We've all been in the room with me. We know how loud it feels. Trust me, I get tired of that shit. But you know what it's like to be in the room with somebody that wants to give you their energy, that wants to take an interest in you and has that kind of life that is undeniably, you know, like in your face. And this dude is just like so full. And man, I'm telling you, like these are the kind of people, the people that have the fight, that have the spirit, and that have the will, you know, that I want to be a part of. And, you know, to be honest with you, I wouldn't have had to like him. I would not have had to like him in order to want to support his cause. You know, I was going to support his cause anyway. But the fact that I fell in love with him within the first 5 minutes, I was like, man, this dude, you know, like for real.
Yeah.
So the way you guys, honestly, man, so the way you can help is, I'm going to show you this little, oh, Sookie now. Schaefer Squad merch is here. Show your support. Go to the hswa.org and click on the menu dots where you'll find the donate tab that leads to the Schaefer Squad merch link. Scroll past the greeting to find our wide range of Schaefer Squad merch, from adult tees, kid tees, onesies, and beanies for the babies, adult hoodies, hats and kicks, an apron for the cook, a hoodie for the pet, and a puzzle for the family. All prices include the outrageous cost of shipping, and all proceeds go toward helping Schaefer get a potentially life-changing stem cell treatment. And this just in, check out the new Schaefer Squad scarf coming soon to a viral video near you. You gotta believe. And always remember, we're all in this together.
You can see it when you see me, but you gotta believe me. Ain't nothing coming easy my way. No, I work for this.
Now, you can get the Schaefer Squad merch, or we have this raffle that's going on. It's been going on for a while now. And the way it works is 2,000 reservations, or excuse me, 1,000 reservations, and all the books ship. We take a name out of those 1,000 names and send 2 people to Alaska on the most amazing adventure you've ever seen in your entire life. We've got past episodes that lay out what the potential is. Please go to go to our Get Busy Living at YouTube web channel and subscribe and check out the video that tells you all about the adventurous Alaska trip. And then we've got other videos where Scooty Wells introduces himself. This man like saved my life for real. Like he was one of the major players in that life-saving expedition. So please support the cause. Either get a book and let us get Schaefer to Panama, or go get some Schaefer Squad gear, or you can just go to hswa.org and just donate. We've got people that do recurring donations. Thank you to all you guys that are sending recurring donations. I cannot tell you how flattering and it is, and how grateful I am for things like this. So by all means, please do support the cause. The reason that people are willing to come on and share their time with us is because they know that we're pushing for a bigger cause. And without further ado, we've got one of the coolest people I've ever met. So before I bring her on, I'll tell you how I met her. So I used to have a wine bar out in Seagrove Beach that I was managing, and I used to do all kinds of crazy, cool promotions. We would do things that, it was very female oriented because the owner was a woman and she wanted a place that her and her friends could hang out at. So 70% of my clientele were women, 70% of them were over 30. And it was excellent, amazing fun and vibe. And so I did unique promotions where I would get fashion and jewelry and art and decor and get these owners of these other businesses then bring their things to my store, and we would have ladies' night there where you got special discounts on the vendor that was there that night, and they got they got exposed to our audience. And somebody recommended I get in touch with this amazing artist, Miss Kika. She would had a program where she would help you go through your closet and find the things you no longer wore, and then describe to her. I don't know how it worked. Actually, I'll let her describe it, but she would make your old clothes into new clothes for you that you enjoyed wearing. And so she did a little show at my place, and it was her. I think she had like 8 or 10 models. Blair was one of them. That's how I met Blair. Blair was dressed up like Tom Cruise in Top Gun, and they all modeled their clothes, and it was so cool. So it's funny where life takes you and how life goes. But since then, I'll let her tell you what's happened since then. Please, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the stage my friend, Miss Kika. Yes, Kika. I like the one name people.
Hi, Kika.
Hi.
Yes.
Well, thank you for allowing me this great opportunity. I'm super thrilled. My heart is thumping to be on here this evening with you both.
Oh, we love that.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to have you. Can't wait to hear about all of the personal experience that you have. And I think personal experience is important because, we can all sit around and talk about hypotheticals all day, all night, but real world experience, things that actually happened to someone, I think it bears a lot of weight. Things that you have been through and the things that you can talk about with firsthand experience. So yes, we were talking about your background in fashion, but that's not what you do anymore.
That is correct.
Why don't you explain to the audience what it is that you do now?
Yeah, so that is on the back burner. I have one more year to get back into that sort of realm of fun events. But currently, so from Florida, sweet, you probably remember, I ended up moving back to Oregon to help my older parents. And in doing so, I discovered that there's so much more out there that we can help others in aspect of their disability, whether they're older adults or they're born with a disability, or in your situation, ended up in a very tragic situation leading to a disability. But really, I just advocate for individuals who are going through this journey and finding resources or a way of means to move out of their house and move into a new house. So there's a couple variables.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And so you have a very unique position where you are in the economy, positioned from a large segment of the population, and then positioned between them and what they want as far as resources. And what a lot of people don't understand, and what the reason that you're so unique is that we're talking about what has happened to people and the circumstances and instilling art and overcoming. So it's unique that you used to solve the problem that people had of no longer using those clothes. And you somehow came up with a unique way of taking those old clothes and giving them back to them in a usable fashion. And so that's problem solving. Okay. And so your talent and your vision in this is what I want to use in order to crack open the nuggets of the audience and get them to open their mind a little bit and see things from a perspective that will hopefully have them gain some appreciation, because there's so much in life that we take for granted, like having a closet full of clothes that we don't even wear anymore. We have the nerve to go out and buy more clothes. You know what I mean? And so first I want to start with this, which I believe could be one of, if not the greatest men to ever walk the earth. Plato wrote this book, and in this book spoke of how there was rumors of a civilization, an ancient civilization that we have grown up in. Those of us that are Gen Xers?
Yeah. Yes.
Gen Xers,
Woo.
we call it myth. When we talk about Atlantis, it's myth. It's like Greek gods are myths, and like nobody thinks that Poseidon, comes out of the ocean with a trident and it's really big. They're mythological, and Atlantis was widely believed to be something like that. That was once mythological, but the truth is that Plato actually had in his family line evidence of it. And so when he talked about it, he wasn't talking about myths. He was talking about actual things that existed. And he talked about how the ancient civilizations became so good at survival that they overcame just surviving, solving problem after problem after problem, and became technologically advanced to where they were no longer searching for food and no longer, scrounging for protection from the elements. And it was no longer a mystery of how to survive. And they became so good at it and so interconnected with each other that when something happened that took out one of the legs underneath the table, the whole civilization collapsed. And what's amazing is that if it were to happen today, and this is perspective that was offered to me from elsewhere on YouTube, but if it were to happen today, a cataclysmic event that were to take out electricity, the people that would perish are the people that rely on electricity, not the people that are in the African or the Amazon or in the mountains that are intentionally avoiding, mingling with us. There are still a large, not insanely large, but a large population of human beings that have no idea about electricity. And they solve life's problems in a different manner, so what we're going to talk about is how we've gotten here and the paradigm shifts that have happened throughout society's evolution, that have gotten us to the problems that you are familiar with. Kika, does that sound like a fun ride?
It sure does.
All right. So what Plato's saying here, for many generations, they obeyed the laws and loved the divine to which they were akin. They reckoned that qualities of character were far more important than their present prosperity. So they bore the burden of their wealth and possessions lightly and did not let their high standard of living intoxicate them or make them lose their self-control. So he's talking about a version of human beings that once existed that realized, like it says here, they obeyed the laws and loved the divine to which they were akin. Then they reckoned that the qualities of character were more important than their present prosperity. So the values that you hold within yourself are more important than how much money you have, or if you were born wealthy, or if you've even achieved wealth from poverty. It doesn't matter. And that's important because there was a time in modern history, this is prehistoric or a different civilizations version, but in modern history, we haven't always thought that it was wrong to kill. People that were very smart were thought to be godlike, and people that were sick were thought to be peasant-like. And there was no respect for it. Was a primitive way of survival of the fittest, and it was more logical to be that way. But then we, through our evolution of our thoughts and understanding of emotions and how to behave, and through inner searching, eventually also got to the point where Plato is describing this ancient civilization got to, where we realize that the quality of our character is more important than our material prosperity. And then it says here, so they bore the burden of their wealth and possessions lightly and did not let their high standards of living intoxicate them or make them lose their self-control. And I think that it's possible that we as humans may have gotten to that point in our modern times as well. And then Plato goes on to talk about, now mind you, this dude was 2,000 plus years ago. But when the divine element in them became weakened and their human traits became predominant, they ceased to be able to carry their prosperity with moderation. And he talks about how they lost respect for how to survive in its most basic form and relied too heavily on the luxuries of technology that they'd figured out. So when those luxuries of technology were disabled, then they lost the ability to survive and perished. And the ones that lived on to tell the tale, the Old Testament, the writings that we thought were the result of humans figuring out writing for the first time, which we thought happened about 4,000 years ago. That's the first time people. Before that, the only way that we could carry on tradition and stories was by telling stories. Think about it. Prior to learning how to write, the only way that one generation of humans would learn from the previous generation was direct contact, direct stories. And think about the problems that could not be solved without being able to pass on information from generation to generation in writing. Think about all of the things that those humans that existed at that time were confronted with. And once they solved that problem, then they had more time to be confronted with the next problem and solve that next problem. And through repeated problem solving, eventually developed a technology and eventually got to the point where we could lay around and be completely indulgent and completely vain and completely gluttonous. And that's what he's describing when he's saying when the divine element in them became weakened, no respect for survival anymore. Their human traits became predominant. All we care about is our hunger and our lust and our thirst and our worldly feelings and emotions. And that's when he's saying that's when those people let their guard down. And then when a cataclysmic event happened, they were not able to survive. And I believe that the awareness that we can raise by people understanding what you do for a living, Kika, I think can alleviate our vulnerability to this happening again. Does that sound profound?
Well, it sounds really deep.
I didn't mean
to
to catch you guys off guard on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'll give you some examples. Okay. We'll just go through this and just so you understand. Okay. Number one, like this. So there was a time when these things, we did not understand them at all. We did not understand them whatsoever. We thought that they were signs from the gods. That's how everything was explained. Eclipses, plagues and diseases we thought was God punishing us. Think about the way that behavior would be affected. Like today, when COVID happened, we didn't blame like God was mad at us. It was China. It was China. Well, it actually was, but and all of these things that used to happen that we thought were, the gods punishing us, we became smarter about and figured out how to overcome them. And, there are some that there's no way for us to avoid natural disasters, but one hurricane doesn't kill everybody in the city. We can survive those types of things. But after we, do you have any moments in your life where you were inside your house looking out and the weather was so extreme that you thought you could possibly perish in this storm? Or like D-Rex, have you ever suffered any earthquakes over there that like blew you away, scared you?
No, I haven't been through any major earthquakes here, and what I'm about to say is not is not anywhere near what you're asking for. But sometimes it gets very windy here. That sounds like nothing. But in Los Angeles, when it gets windy, it gets really windy. It was like 60-mile-per-hour winds. And we were all just standing at the window going, ooh.
Yeah.
How trivial does that sound? After, the way we grew up where we're standing in the snow and our eyelashes are freezing together. And now I just stand at the window and go, ooh.
Yeah, man. I remember going to school. I went to Piper Burley for elementary school. And I remember getting to school and my toes, like I had sneakers and they had holes in the toes. and the snow, it was so deep walking to school that the snow got inside my shoe and made my toes curl up. There wasn't enough room inside my sneaker for my toes, and it was like packed up inside the shoe. And it took me like, I was like, didn't go into school right away. As soon as they let the doors open, I went and put my feet on the heater and just stood on the heater by the heater at school. Like I was late because my toes were so cold and I didn't want my teacher to tell me I had to sit down. So I sat
That's
there.
a real Gen X story right there.
Yeah, and it's just there's things that we just blow right over and have no respect for. We're so in tune. And I'm not trying to hate on humans. Okay. We're lucky that we figured out things that used to kill us so well that our life expectancy goes so long that nature hasn't figured out how to make us live longer. We are able to stay alive. Natural disasters, what I'm getting at, no longer kill us in the ways that they did. They no longer are a limiting factor in our existence on the planet, and luckily, because of those things, we are able to experience cultural phenomenons. These are things that were not possible when we were spending all of our time surviving. These are things that we've had time to sit around and think about, time to have the nerve that we don't have anything else better to complain about, or times that we don't have anything worse to fear, or times that we have nothing more fascinating, like the Renaissance. Think about what happened during these time periods. And then the fact that they like, it's not a history lesson. You guys are probably, mildly familiar with the fact that these things have happened and that they've affected the fundamental way that people think and feel about each other and behave towards each other. Whether or not you're allowed to touch someone on the shoulder, or whether or not putting a middle finger up was going to be offensive, or calling somebody, by their incorrect title. Prior to certain times in history, these things could get your fingers cut off, and then like we can even talk feminist theory. That's rather recent. I mean, and we all know with each of these steps along the way, we have become more, some would say civil, some would say more advanced. We claim to have been able to figure out how to live in more harmony, But the thing is, the more in depth you look at each of these things, each one of them solved problems that existed prior to existence, but they just opened up the door for different types of problems, right? And Kika, I'm sure you can see kind of where I'm heading here with this, how you are able, because of where you're uniquely positioned in the economy, to help people solve different types of problems. But the thing is, without these things having happened at some point in life, we wouldn't. I can tell you this: I'm sitting in a $40,000 wheelchair. People that suffered the way that I suffered having a chance. The fact that I am alive today is a testament to the fact that all of these things have happened at some point in life, and think about how different life would be if we hadn't figured these things out. Like both of you have experience with clothes. Kika, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you did for La Botana that brought you there?
Oh, well, of course, it was the environment, an aspect of what I was doing, just, creating awareness. Once again, I think it's important to create awareness for anything we live in and want to succeed in that journey or improve someone's journey. But overall, the fashion aspect of recycling clothes just brought me to La Botana and friendship, and also within the fashion, I was doing the nonprofit organization for, I think it was a shelter home for that particular fashion show. I kind of did a couple different ones, but we raised some money for the nonprofit aspect of it.
See that's I didn't even I don't recall all of the intricacies of all of the promotions I did at that place. I didn't even recall that there was a nonprofit aspect to it, but that's awesome, and D-Rex has experience with clothing. She's a fashionista also. Um, but these are things that, as we as humans have become more technologically advanced, we're able to get more intricate and more nuanced with our processes and projects and our progresses. But then it gets to the point where we can we screw things up, I guess you could say. And that's kind of what I'm getting at with here, like autocorrect mishaps. These are all like modern, like things that were never that would be completely a different language to people a couple hundred years ago. And these are things
Yeah,
that
and
are,
I have to admit that that's one of the number one issues or concerns I have for our individuals that are disabled and or older adults. The technology now that we have is just it blows my mind. But a lot of these individuals have never picked up an iPhone, and some of them will come to me and ask me, well, how do I apply here? I don't know how to process an application through a phone or through a computer. And majority of resources out there for the disabled is through social media or through the internet of your phone or your computer. But with this, to me, this creates more of a mishap for our disabled. It just puts them in a very vulnerable situation, what they're already in, to be able to find resources and be able to succeed or be independent in what they're doing, if everything is expected to be through technology now.
yeah, there's the fact that we are expecting and expected to, is kind of the point that I'm making, is that we used to be so eternally grateful for progress and being able to like figure out how to keep the rain off of our skin was a major progress in life. Like humans were able to have more joy and happiness. They were less often cold at night because they figured out clothes, and we're to the point these days now where we're taking so much for granted. It's almost like all of these problems that have been solved in the past have become, or they were invisible, and we're almost ignorant now to even searching for problems. Now we're just looking at ourselves all the time. And I mean, it's not true about everyone. Obviously, there's a huge contingency of people that want to help. You know what I mean? But I think that raising awareness for this particular issue is trickier because the disabled community has always been around and it hasn't happened yet. Where there's equal footing, and I personally am not one that's hung up on equity and equality and equal footing to the point where I'm going to preach about it. I recognize 100% that it's absolutely necessary for sure, but that's not what I'm trying to get at here with being equal, because I know that, for someone that's in my condition, I don't have equal parts, so I can't expect equal participation. You know what I mean? But hopefully, with people understanding that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. These days, usually, if you don't die suddenly, which there should be no reason, don't worry about dying suddenly, because it suddenly happens. So don't even bother worrying about it. But if you don't die suddenly, then most of us become disabled at some point in our lives.
Yes. So that's one I would like to talk about. Speaking of older adults, if you don't have a disability, we do get to the point where we have back issues, and it's so challenging to slip on those socks. It's so challenging to slip on that footwear. I believe Nike, oh, don't quote me on this, but I believe Nike has a new shoe. It's designed for the older adults or individuals with disabilities who are missing parts, specifically their hands, their arms. They can't put on that footwear. But yet the shoe, when you step into it, it flexes down. And then once you push your foot into it, it'll flex back up and you've got your shoe right on.
Wow.
So that's a really neat one I've discovered. I want to say it's Nike. And I have to admit, my father has it, and he talks about it like it's the new world for him. It's
Wow.
resolved a lot of his back issues. He doesn't have to bend over as much. And I mean, that can be painful for our older adults or individuals with certain disabilities.
You know, that kind of that statement right there, and this is not something that it's premeditated. It's just my response. The fact you say that can be painful is so 100% true. But at the same time, for some people, it is painful. It's not a matter of can be. It absolutely is. It is their reality. Every single time they want to do that or put their shoe on or try to accomplish this, there is a barrier that stops them. So for those people that have the back issues, it can be painful sometimes. You know, we're able, that's kind of my point, is that just like we have figured out all of these problems throughout our evolution on Earth and gotten to the point of a luxurious living, and we take things for granted. I'm getting to the point that we shouldn't also be taking for granted all the things that people are suffering from today, you know, and the fact that you are positioned where you help people find resources that solve these problems is such a beautiful thing to me. So could you tell the audience a little bit more about what exactly you do?
Oh, so I'm helping advocate for the disabled. So specifically in ensuring that they have the resources or can find the resources to be able to thrive in life or create more of that self-independence. So whether it's, in the home, navigating through the home and being able to take a shower on their own, or being able to get into their car and drive somewhere on their own, just creating that comfort level for them when there is a disability. So it depends on that form of disability, but there's what we call a category of looking for an avenue of creating that self-independence. So we still want them to feel like they can do this on their own, but how? So the how is more of that technique we look for.
So how do you come across your potential clients? Are they introduced to you through hospitals, or do you have they don't find you in the yellow pages?
No, so through our private agency, they can come seek my guidance and resources.
How does one find your agency?
Well, in the Pacific Northwest, we have a couple of private agencies that they can walk into our office.
What would somebody Google in order to find one of these agencies?
Oh, in the Pacific Northwest, it would be under Northwest Senior Disability. But I believe anywhere in the United States, you can Google disability services, and you would be able to find an agency, whether it's private, funded by state or legal, state or federal programs, and or nonprofit. So it just depends. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, so a lot of our programs are designed under that federal or state program.
Can you tell us about a time when somebody found you via that method and you were able to help them, accomplish, gaining more independence or solving a problem that, befronted them because of their disability?
Oh, sure. And so in respect to that, as I was mentioning, so the client came in, he's an older adult. He obviously does not know how to use technology, but he's looking for any sort of resources to assist with his financial situation. And so a lot of the programs, whether they're profit, nonprofit, they look at resources and income. And so certain programs have that criteria or policy based on that standardized income and or resource. So I assisted him in the application process. And it can be 2 to 3 hour interview. And that can be in itself a lot for someone who is disabled and doesn't
Yeah.
have to advocate for.
Mhm.
Sitting there for an hour answering questions can be very high stress level. And so, but we try to make the process as easy as possible in order to help the individual. And
I think that's worth mentioning that when people on disability receive disability financial help, oftentimes that actually prevents them from working. And it's just another layer of trouble for people who are on disability, because as soon as you work, they say, well, you have income and you can't be on disability.
Yeah.
And
correct.
it becomes a big problem because you can't get out of a certain level, which is actually not even really enough. Is there any way to help people get past that limitation that you've seen?
Not that I would know of. That knowledge or expertise is beyond my powers. That's because once they are deemed disabled through the Social Security Administration office, there's a particular or specific calculation that the Social Security Administration office does have. So that's where they would follow up with their Social Security rep.
Mm-hmm.
But in an aspect of what I do, I can always just again guide them through resources that would not affect their level of income based on that disability. But it's one of those details. Every case is different. Every individual is different. In my side cleaning business, I assist individuals, and that's where I work with their budget and income. A lot of these older adults or disabled cannot afford someone to come clean their house, and they live in a home that hasn't been cleaned for a few months to a few years. And an aspect of that business that I started was more inspiration to help someone that
That's
can't
awesome.
afford. Yeah, it's really amazing. I'm not here to be a millionaire. I'm here to help those that have no one to help them. And there's so many of these individuals. There's so many.
So
I'm
I
sure
want to
you.
go. I want to go back through. This is the number one question.
Yeah.
What's the 501c3? And we got some comments that people are saying some really cool stuff. But I definitely, this is the first and foremost thing I want to get at is I'm going to reiterate. So I have seen these places where they have not been cleaned in years. So I used to do the business that set me free. Actually, was I would help people that were on Medicare and Medicaid, understand how to use their medical benefits, and so I had to find them and go to their homes. And I can't tell you how many times I was sitting in my car after I left and had roaches crawling out of my briefcase, and how many times I've stunk all the way home, and how many times I've gone from one house to the next and accumulated stench because people, once they become seniors, their family abandons them, or they just, whether it's their fault or their family's fault or nobody's fault or society's fault or whatever, we, the elderly human beings, are a large portion of us just fading into the disappeared and unknown. And the fact that you're going into people's homes and cleaning them is like gold. I don't think there are people that understand how spectacular that is. Think about how many times you have washed your face or your hands or washed your countertop. And then think about if you weren't able to do that for a whole day, how dirty you would feel or how awkward or uncomfortable you would be. And then think about your reality when you're looking around the room and it's not just your hands that haven't been washed, but it's your entire life that is just accumulating sadness and decrepitation. Like the fact that you are doing this, please, how can we get people to help you? Where can we send the money?
Oh, sending the money would be more through nonprofit organizations. So just county to county or city to town. because everyone has their own establishments.
Tell you what, if you go to the hswa.org and you go to the recurring donations, or you go to the single donations page, you go in there and donate, and you put Kika, what can we put that so I know to give the money to you?
Oh,
Put Kika.
we have to create something
Just
sweet.
put Kika. Just go to the this is totally off the cuff right now, spontaneous. I didn't set this up ahead of time, but I will. You can go to anybody that donates and puts Kika on there. Every penny I'll give to you. That's the beauty of nonprofits, is that that's possible. You know what I mean? I mean, and if it's not, and I have a price to pay for it, that's fine, because that's the whole point of having a nonprofit, is so that I can perpetuate, impact like this. That is amazing that you're cleaning people's homes, and that's just part of what you do. So your day job, the office that you're in, you work for an agency that helps disabled people gain access to resources that help them become more independent.
Correct.
I cannot like play a song that will be as beautiful as the fact that there are human beings that go spend their days figuring out ways to help other human beings.
Yeah, that's my forte right now. It used to be a material girl, but now it's more the cleaning girl.
I just think it's beautiful that, I mean, it was different, but there's an essence there that's consistent. You were helping people, turn their old clothes into new ones, and I think it's a personality. It's a set of ideas. It's a moral compass that takes you along these kind of pathways, and that's really what I'm trying to perpetuate here, on a regular. I know that the Get Busy Living project and me going on consecutive months on One Epic Adventure stuff is not completely directly related to that, but that's just a ploy to try to gain awareness and attention for the big picture, which is trying to make an impact, on whether it's not on your mindset and your mind on a daily basis, but on, where you spend your time and how you focus. And if it's focusing your resources and you can give this girl some help with helping clean houses, how does that work, Kika? Like, you basically ask them to give you what they can afford and you'll clean their house for them. You don't have like a set price.
Right. I don't have a set price. I would, hey, sweet, if I lived in your area, I'd call you, and if you called me and I'd say, hey, what's your budget? You can pay me $20. I'll do it for 20. I don't have a set price.
Awesome. So let me go back here and say what's up
to that good, nice environment.
I love it. Face I haven't seen in a while, Mr. Stephen Anthony, MF and G. What's up, dog? And Nate has been chiming in and bringing it on. And Louise is my sweetest teacher. Love it. Love it. Smiles, is giving an applause. I guess, some people dug the Play-Doh stuff. Hey, Jess, how you doing, girl? Good to see you. Steve, that was deep. I mean, look, I know that I was reaching there, but I'm asking y'all to reach. I'm asking y'all to realize how much we actually do take for granted, and without human beings that are willing to be net givers. Think about your net. What the lasting impression, a net, like what you take out of what you can actually keep, the takeaway. Not the gross, not the whole amount. The net. Are you a net giver or a net taker on this planet? Is your presence, not you, Kika, not you, D-Rex, not you, Stephen Anthony, MF and G, not individuals in my audience, but all of us collectively, are we net givers or net takers? Are we leaving more than we're taking away? Are we going to have a lasting impact? I'm hoping to perpetuate thoughts and intentions in that direction. I'm hoping that each of you will get busy living in your own way. But a lot of that, we've said before, is having a purpose. And when you can look yourself in the mirror and know that you're hoping to be a net giver and not a net taker, and you're overall, helping others more than you're requiring others to help you, I think that, that's busy living. That's having that kind of mindset. And the fact that you're so dedicated to it is such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, you're actually helping people restore their dignity, which is a huge deal. Dignity is not something that we think about very often, you know? It's just sometimes we're feeling bad and sometimes we're feeling good. But to have a clean home, a home, I think that's one of your most basic need, right? The shelter. But it's also a place that you can escape from everything else, and you're sheltered, you're held, right? And if your home is dirty and you're being held by dirt, there's there's no dignity in that. And what you're doing is you're restoring people's dignity and their most basic need.
Hell yeah. Check out Boozy. Once complained about my shoes. Then I met a man with no feet. And little Boozy brings it. Some don't have basic fundamental needs. Yes, indeed.
Maslow's hierarchy.
Beautiful.
Yeah, let me just say some of these. I think there was one where she doesn't have family, but her house had not been cleaned for almost 5 years, and it took me a good 2 days. And let me just say that the pride she had in herself to be able to walk through her home and not trip over something, or something had been there for years, is just amazing. And it really is a good feeling when you walk away to have that home be clean and that person can function and have some balance and harmony in their sanctuary. It's amazing.
You know, something that you were telling me about, and I would hope that you would tell our audience about, is so we were saying you were helping them restore dignity by living in a clean home, but you were also telling me about some businesses and corporations that were adding accessibility even before they were mandated to. We were talking earlier about how a lot of corporations and businesses only build accessibility into their businesses when they are mandated to. You were telling me something really interesting about Disneyland or Disney World.
Oh, yes, Disneyland.
That I found very exciting. Why don't you share that with our audience?
Yeah, so they do have, I don't know if Swede knows this, but they do have 4 rides that have now, they have 4 different rides that allow guests to remain in their wheelchair or the ECV the entire time. And that means you get to stay in your wheelchair.
Get out. So I can stay in my chair? There's no way. There's no way they would let me.
You get to ride on the rides are Jungle Cruise and Journey into Imagination. Those are just a few, but there is 4 of them now. This is Disney World. I'm not sure about Disneyland. But how amazing is that? I mean, I think Disney's just celebrating 100 epic years. So that says something about imagination and equality, that they're striving to make it equal for all, no matter what. No matter what. That's amazing. That's magical.
My man, Kiro in the house. Let's go.
Let's all just take a Disney trip and join Swede.
Let's. Yeah. Love it. Little Boozy said, it's like winning the Super Bowl, Swede.
I really liked hearing about that because, you know, there wasn't some law that said, okay, now Disney World must have this many rides dedicated to wheelchair inclusivity. They just did it, you know? And I've never even been to Disneyland here. I'm not a huge Disney person, but when you told me that, it just totally warmed my heart because most businesses will not include accessibility.
They do the minimal of the ADA compliance, and the rest they just try to cut shortcuts. They're all about shortcuts. But that is, again, the magic in each of us, which I believe we should strive one level higher than anyone else just for that reason. And if, you know, the man himself created magic one way, we can continue to do that, especially with technology. Now, the amazing part of life is our technology.
Absolutely.
You know, I like what you said there. If we strive to I don't know exactly what you said, to be one level higher.
Yes.
You know, I like that because it's not like we are asking people to be perfect, but just one level, just take it a little bit further. You know, when you have that feeling like I should help, yeah, go help. But we're not asking you to be perfect or to devote your life to helping. But, you
Right.
know, take it one step. And I like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
Well said.
time is also a way to help. So even reading a story, going to a facility, reading a story to the elderly, they love that. So if you don't have the money, the budget for it, take, a half hour out of your time, go to a facility, visit the facility, and they love hearing from the younger generations.
Oh yeah. I'm honestly, I'm in my head already thinking about how I can help you. The idea of you going and cleaning people's homes, like I said, I've been in those homes, so it's kind of stunning me that I can imagine how I've had people's children call me and ask me to come back over so they could meet me after I've gone in their house, and their dad called them. He said that you know some guy came over and helped me figure this stuff out. And I mean, I've helped people like double their income by figuring out how to use their medical benefits. And when your income is very little and you double it, that's freedoms that you're gaining, when you double your income. And I've seen how these people the only reason that was possible was because they were so far behind. And the only way that they can get that far behind is to be somewhat abandoned. And so when people are that abandoned, that's when their house becomes completely dirty and ravaged. And when it's usually because they're disabled and can't do it themselves.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That disability is there. It exists. Whether it's mental, physical, or spiritual, I think we have to consider all three elements, and that's part of who we are in creating that energy on a daily basis. So it's important to remember that even though that disability can be seen physically, some of us do have that disability non-physical. So we can't see it, but it's there. It's existing. And so it's important to keep that in mind or be mindful of that.
Yeah, the fact that people can contact you and your agency has, a staff in place to help people figure out what their resources are and connect them to, places to get, do you have some examples of the types of things that you help people gain access to? I mean, I know you were telling me before about, mobility and stuff like that, but just for the audience.
For clients who apply for resources?
Yeah.
It could be anything from prescription coverage, if they can't afford the prescription coverage on programs. You mentioned Medicare, Medicaid. A lot of times there's a certain threshold of income. So if Medicare pays 80%, there's a remaining 20% of what the client will have to pay. And some clients who are low income will not be able to do that. That starts to accumulate, especially right now with inflation. It becomes a challenge. It's an obstacle. And then they get behind on other payments as well. They're still expected to pay their shelter costs. Shelter costs is absurd right now when it comes to rent or mortgage.
Yeah, think about all of the young folks that are complaining about they have to have roommates because they can't afford to live, and I'm just saying it's the young folks that are complaining about it. Like all of us are going through it. It's the young ones that are complaining about it. But think about it, youngsters. You're struggling to get by and you have tons of energy and no health issues that take up your time and energy. And think about your grandparents that have no energy and all kinds of issues that take up their time. And then think about, because time is money, right? If you don't have time, then it's hard to make money. And that's my point, is that I just hope that through just more conscious thought and stopping and taking the time to think about it, like I'm not showing pretty pictures, trying to catch shallow attention here. I'm trying to get those few people out there that do actually tune into the Get Busy Living Project and do actually think about what we say. I'm trying to tap into those ones. I'm not reaching for the, the broad reach. I'm looking for the people that really have hearts that are willing to make a difference. Things like this matter. There's so many people out there that are just like in desperation right now. And there's so many other people out there that have so much excess that if you are the person with excess or the people with excess, just, instead of talking to them about tits and football tomorrow, talk to them about, how can you give back some of all that extra stuff you have?
Yeah. How can you act one level higher?
One level higher.
Yeah. There you go.
Love
what? I'd like to bring something up. Saturday is Swede's birthday. If you'd like to wish him a happy birthday, like our friend Scooty Wells did here. And yeah, cool guy.
Oh, my man.
Yep. So that's right. Happy birthday, Swede, on Saturday.
Feliz cumpleaños.
So Brother Doug got me some birthday shades. He had to give them to me today because I'm not going to see him on my birthday.
Oh, really? Is he not around on your birthday? Why don't you tell us about what you got coming up this month?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I would love to. So I wonder if this would work here. Let me see. That'll work. Yeah. So next month, but first this month. So 55 is the target. Okay, I've done 54 months in a row, and 55 is the target.
Mm-hmm.
So this month I'm going to Reno. I'm leaving as soon as the show's over. Brother Doug already packed the car up. I'm not going to see him on my birthday because I'm not going to be here and he can't come with me. So I am jumping in my ride and I'm going to see Boogie. And
what?
Yeah, don't ask how. Okay, so I definitely need help. I'm one of those people that I'm trying to help gain some awareness for shamelessly. So for me to take off like this is if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up space, I always say. But yeah, I'm going up to see Boogie, and that will mark this month number 19. 55 to go, 19 down, leaves 36. That's 3 years. 3 years from now, the huge party happens. So this is kind of like it's an important check on along the timeline here. 3 years from today, or from this month, is the target date for the huge party. So
hard to believe. It's just it seemed so far away, and it just now seems ominously close.
3 years. I mean, because now that we're getting up there in years and we've done enough of them, they go by a lot faster. Them long things called years that you used to look forward to when you were 9. Remember how long it took to turn 10? Oh my God, I could not wait. I could not wait to turn 10. Time goes by fast. So look, next month's destination is we are canoeing for a cause next month. Yes, I'm going back to Florida, and we're going to get back on the Blackwater River. The awesome thing about Blackwater River is that around every bend is a beach. So think about the cool thing of the beach is that you have sand and you have water and you have sun and you have people, right? But there's all kinds of people on the beach, and it's not common that you get up and just go mingle with all the other people on the beach. You usually just hang out with the people that are on the beach right next to you. The awesome thing about Blackwater, the reason I fell in love with it 20 something years ago, is because you get in your canoes, you go to the beach, you get out, you mingle with all the people on that beach. So you get all of the advantages that you get on the regular beach, because they're white sand and it's beautiful water. It's not the same water, but it's beautiful water. Cold water, but it's beautiful water. And so you get all the advantages of that, but then you don't have the disadvantages of not getting to meet the other people that are down the beach, because you all get back in your canoes, you go to the next one, you reconvene and do it all over again. It is, to me, for my money, it's my favorite regular hobby that I ever got into when I was in Florida. And I got into it pretty good. And I've had a lot of people go down the river with me. So it's my charge between now and 1 month from now to let all those people that know that used to go down the river with me that I'm going down the river again. So I need your help getting the word out. All right. So if you're watching this show, please like, subscribe, and share. And be there and follow us on social media. And when you see this stuff coming out, forward it, and let's get that river full again. We're going to go down. It's going to be the third Saturday, we're doing choosing Saturday because that's when more people are going to have access. And the third Saturday, because that's going to be right after the third Thursday, which is every month, the third Thursday of the month, the Get Busy Living podcast, the third Thursday of every month. So right after next month's podcast, we're going to go down there. We're going to get on the Blackwater River and we're going to go canoeing for a cause. So please, by all means, that'll be month number 20. Month number 20 of the Get Busy Living Project 55. We're going to be canoeing for a cause down Blackwater Canoe or down Blackwater in Florida. D-Rex, I'm trying to get you to go, girl. Trying to get you to go. Come on.
No, this is actually news to me. I mean, you just threw this at me right now.
You're on the, you're getting good at saying yes. I have to admit.
I am getting way better at that, right? I think I'm finally learning the art of the Get Busy Living program.
Yes, it is. It is an art. I wonder what happened here. I hope
we seem to have lost Kika, but boy,
there she is.
Sorry about that. It slipped away.
Kiro says your future's so bright you got to wear your shades, your birthday shades.
They're not just any shades though. Steelers shades. Think about it. I'm the easiest guy to shop for. If it's something Steelers, I'm gonna love it. That's why Brother Doug got me shades. He got me, this is probably the biggest score because I've been drinking a lot more coffee lately. So he got me a Steelers coffee cup, man. It's money.
Nice.
Excellent.
Yes. So I have to say how grateful I am for both of you for coming on my show. Our show, D-Rex.
This is absolutely your show. I'm just along for the ride.
I hope that in the next 36 months that we get busy living together, every one of them. I know that's a hard push. I realize that, but I shoot for the stars. If you land on the moon, you're still out of this world, right?
Yes.
We always have a fun time when we get on these adventures. And I would just like to put it out there to everybody who's watching right now that you can also get in on these adventures. They're not exclusive. We definitely want you to come along. And if there's anything where you're like, man, I really wish that I could see that. I wish I could go. Swede always needs a co-pilot.
Absolutely. And every single time.
You will be talking, listening to music, and having the greatest time the whole time, guaranteed. So speak up if you want to come along. All right.
Wait a second. I'm going to back off of that a little bit. I don't talk constantly.
No, that was me. No, I talk constantly.
I talk a lot and I listen a lot too. I like the exchange. There's no energy exchange in silence. So I don't like it as much unless you're like touching, which is a different kind of
You do talk constantly. You're just, you have no idea.
Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, come back the third Thursday next month. We'll be on our way to do canoeing for a cause on the Blackwater River.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say that I feel like I had a paradigms with me today. And we talked about paradigm shifting. And I'm so grateful for both of you. Thank you. And for everyone in the audience, all of you guys that showed up. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for all the awesome comments today. It was really fun interacting with everybody.
See you in 4 or 5 Thursdays. I'm not sure how many there are in between here and there, but it's the third Thursday of every month. Get Busy Living Project, baby. And always remember, no matter the weather, whether it's sunshine or rain, there's no joy without pain. Always remember, we're all in this together.
You wear your shades.
Can I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Kika.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.